Okay, that was a tough one, guys. So why all of these boxes? We have here the whole Yamaha range of monitor speakers. And actually, talking with the guys at strumentimusicali.net, we were talking about how the guitar player mindset changed over the years, and now a lot of people, like myself included, we're using this kind of monitors to hear our guitar sound. Many people use modelers and digital stuff like plugins and stuff like that, and other people like myself, I use mainly a real amplifier through a reactive load and then IRs. So I'm always listening to my guitar sound through these kind of speakers. I've been using Yamaha speakers for more than 10 years actually, with my HS5 for all of this time, and I'm really happy about that. But I was thinking if that is the best size of speaker that's out there for reproducing a guitar sound. Many people ask me what's the best monitor for this purpose, and I always say that to me this kind of speaker are fine because they are not too loud, the bass frequencies are not too redundant, they're not loud at all, they're not bass heavy frequencies speaker, those ones, because that's the problem with the 12-inch speaker cabinet, you know, the typical guitar cabinet that you would have, because, you know, as soon as you turn up the volume, they'll become really loud. So what's the best compromise? What's the best speaker size? It's the 5-inch speaker like I've been using for all these years, or maybe I can switch to the HS7, so 7-inch speaker, or maybe 8 if I want more bass, or keep my HS5 and then use the subwoofer, you know, the HS8S. So that's what we are trying to figure out. I don't know what to expect with this video, so we will find out together. Before to start, I want just to mention that speakers are just a part of the puzzle when you want to listen to your music or to your guitar in a proper way. You should at least treat a little bit your room, but this video will not talk about the room treatment. It will be more of a raw impressions of how these speakers will sound playing my guitar and listening back to my recordings. So let's start with the HS8S, the subwoofer, to add to my existing HS5 speakers. Okay, so I connected the the H8S, and I put it just right there because since bass frequencies are not that directional, I can easily put the subwoofer on the side, so I can adjust the amount of sub frequencies that I want, since the sub doesn't have the foot switch, okay, to bypass it. So I'll play something with my guitar, just with the HS5, and then I'll play kind of more of a production stuff with drums and bass, so you can hear how the system behave with a more complete sound, I would say. And then I switch to the subwoofer as well, so you can hear the differences. Of course, to let you hear these kind of differences, I will use the condenser microphone that I usually used to record vocals. It will be pretty much here in the middle of the room, so it will not be a perfect recording, but I think it can give you an idea of the differences, especially on the bass frequencies and, you know, in general, how the room would sound with the different combination of speakers. So every time you hear me play, you will hear the sound that my microphone is getting. All right, so let's start with the HS5 alone, and then we add the subwoofer as well. Okay, so you just heard me playing through my usual setup of my Yamaha HS5. So now we can turn on the subwoofer here. I would put the volume pretty much at a quarter, let's say, of the whole volume range, because I think it's more balanced. And this is how my guitar sounds like with the subwoofer. Okay, so my first impression with the sub on is that playing the guitar, it's not really my thing. I mean, the bass, maybe too much, I would say, and they're not really helpful for me as a guitar player to have those kind of frequencies while I am playing. Listening wise, when I was listening to the entire mix on or listening to a song, it's really, really pleasing to have a subwoofer like this one, because, you know, the music will be way more round, and I think it will be a great addition. If you need to do mixes and production and stuff like that, you should consider that. But if you're just a guitar player, you don't want to play guitar, maybe this solution is not the best one. But I'm really curious to see how the system behaves with the HS7 that have 6.5-inch speakers, so kind of in the middle between the HS5 and the HS8. And also I want to mention that I used reference cables Ultimo Cavo that are kind of a nice cables, and switching the cables from the previous ones that I had, I don't know if it's because the subwoofer is in the way between the audio interface and the HS5, but I noticed that using these cables the sound is a little bit more powerful and clear. Maybe it's because of the subwoofer, maybe it's because of the placebo effect or whatsoever, but I still have to mention this pleasing effect of these cables. Okay, so I put those HS7 just there. I listened through them some music, and yeah, it's really pleasing. You know, there's a lot more bass and everything is more round, so it's really, really cool. When I turn on the sub, I'm speaking just about listening to music. it's more linear. So like before you have like the HS5 here and then the sub here, while here it's more round, everything is more organic. So I think it's, you know, using both, so HS7 and the HS8S, so the subwoofer together, you know, it's more organic, I would say. Yeah, it's more linear, and it's a really cool system to listen to music and to make your mixing and production as well, for sure. But now let's listen to some guitar sounds. Okay, so playing through these two monitors here, the HS7, the feeling is closer to playing through a guitar cabinet with 12-inch speakers, you know, the common ones. You know, the basses are more firm, they are more powerful, you are moving more air, so the feeling is quite good. I have to say that these speakers are brand new, so maybe you need a little bit of time to lose a little bit the high frequencies, because right now they are a little bit too sparkly for my taste, but maybe it's just because they are brand new. Anyway, playing through these speakers is really fun. It's nice. Definitely you can hear the difference between this one and the HS5s for sure. And adding the subwoofer, it's like before, when I'm playing, it's not really that useful for my taste. It's, you know, the basses are maybe too pronounced, but when you're mixing, adding the subwoofer, maybe not every time, but sometimes if you want to adjust the bass frequencies, I mean, it's definitely a cool thing to have. It's a nice setup, even without the subwoofer. There are way more bass than the HS5 system, but as I said before, the subwoofer is a nice add. So now I'm really curious to hear the HS8. Okay, these ones are heavy and big, and especially for this little studio, I mean, they are kind of intimidating when I'm turning and looking at them. So listening to some music, the experience is really pleasing. They are well rounded, you know, all the frequencies are really nice and sweet. I think they are sweeter than the HS7. You know, the HS7 were a little bit harsh in the high frequencies, while these ones are more round. I don't know why, but really nice to listen to some music. And adding the subwoofer, yeah, okay, you have of course more bass. It's again really organic, a nice organic setup. I didn't notice much more bass than the HS7 setup. It's kind of weird actually, but listening to music, I could hear more sweet mid-range in these HS8 HS8 instead of the HS7 that were a little bit more, I don't know, harsh, and maybe I heard a little bit more of a V curve, let's say, while these ones are more sweet, as I said before, in the mid-range. So let's hear some guitar sounds. So playing the guitar through these monitors, these HS8, is really, really nice because you have a lot of bottom ends and a lot of pressure, and it's not harsh. It's really nice and round. The mid-range are really sweet. I really like these monitors. Really, really cool. Adding the sub doesn't really make a lot of sense for me while I'm tracking, while I'm playing, because as I said before, those are not really frequencies that I would like to hear when I'm playing. Playing through the backing tracks, it's nice. Everything is kind of organic. I can hear everything, but at the same time is, I don't know, it has kind of a glue vibe. It's different than the HS7. As I said before, these are brand new speakers, so maybe the differences would be a little bit different over time, but these are my first impressions. So really cool speakers. They're a little bit intimidating, as I said before, even if maybe in the video it doesn't look like that, but when I'm turning it, I'm used to the tiny HS5. When I look at those big boys, I'm a little bit scared and intimidated. I think the subwoofer is nice when you're listening back to your recording, if you want to mix, if you want to be really precise on what's going on at the bass frequencies, but with these kind of speakers, it's not really mandatory, I would say. Anyway, really, really nice setup with this pair of speakers. Okay, so what are my final thoughts? Well, I've been using my HS5 for a long time and I'm really happy with them. But of course, trying these other speakers make me questioning if that setup is the best one for me. The HS5 are really cool if you have volume problems, if your neighbors are, you know, kind of neighbors that they can't stand you playing, they can't stand any, you know, loud noise or whatsoever. They are nice. They play really, really great. Of course, they're not that full range. You're lacking a little bit of bass, but I think they are a really great bang for the buck. So if you are in a tiny place and you can't make a lot of noise, the HS5 are a really great solution. The HS7 are nice. They have way more bass, but they need more volume to be more open and clear, and you know, to reach that sweet spot. The HS5, they can play nice at lower volumes, while the HS7 you need a little bit more air. So if you don't have big noise problems, if you live in a house or you live in an apartment, but your neighbors are fine, they're cool, and you are used to play maybe with a real amplifier, you know, it's fine. It's not a lot of noise, okay? But for sure it's different than the HS5. The tone is nice, but they're a little bit mid-scooped for what I've heard. Maybe, as I said before, it will change a little bit over time. And also the harshness that I heard while I was trying them, maybe that will roll off a little bit using them. But yeah, they're for sure an upgrade from the HS. The HS8 actually, surprisingly, are my favorite ones, because I thought they would be oversized, you know, for this kind of studio, but the sound that I can get from those speakers is really nice. It's rounded, the mid-range is sweet. I really enjoyed playing through those speakers. Of course, they are more powerful, they need more volume. The basses are not that much bigger than the HS7, but definitely they move more air, I would say. So they are my favorite one, for sure. Adding the subwoofer on all of the three setups doesn't make a lot of sense to me while you're playing your guitar, but if you also mix and produce tracks or whatsoever, it's a nice thing to consider, because for sure when you're mixing a drum or the bass, there's a lot of information in that area that the other speakers can't really reveal. But if you're just a guitar player and you just want to play for fun, or even if you record but you just concerned about the guitar sound, the subwoofer is not really mandatory. So right now I'm thinking what to do with my setup, because I was really happy with the HS5, but trying these other monitors and speakers, you know, I'm starting to question if that's my best setup for me, and I'm not really sure. I'd like to upgrade, I'd like to use the HS8 actually, but my desk can't really hold them, because those two panels can hold 10 kilograms and the HS8 are 10 kilogram and a half, so I should now take them down. And maybe those speakers you can use a little bit like further away, I don't know. So I think I should consider to rearrange my studio a little bit. I don't know. I'm thinking about that, because for sure playing through them and, you know, listen to music and producing stuff with the bigger speaker, it's definitely more involving, it's a better experience for sure. And I'm really thinking right now of make it happening somehow. So as I said before, this video is not like a scientific video. It doesn't have any scientific approach or whatsoever, so I hope to not upset anybody that's more expert than me. It's just, you know, my impressions, my feeling of trying out different speaker in my home studio situation. And I want to thank strumentimusicali.net to give me this opportunity, because it's a really nice thing that I could do. It's not really possible otherwise to have a lot of speakers in your room, so I really hope that this video can be helpful for you, and if you have any comment, please let me know in the comment section down below. I leave you all the link of these various speakers in the description, so you can check out the specs and the prices and the availability on the store, on strumentimusicali.net store. I'm really curious about your setup, so let me know which one do you have, which one do you like and why. So if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel so you won't miss out the future videos that I will upload. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much and see you next time. Ciao!